welcome. In this video, I will talk about how I landed a job in Okinawa. So the job that I'm talking about is the job that I had when I was working at a Japanese school earlier. I have since resigned from the position. If you want to know why, you can watch the video. I'll link it in the description box below. It's nothing too bad. It's just, another opportunity opened up. So now I'm at a different job. But anyway, I want to tell you how I got a job in Okinawa. I started by looking on Dave's ESL Cafe. I thought that maybe there would be a teaching opportunity there because there are so many international job opportunities posted. There were some for Japan, but none for Okinawa. I then opened up with different family members and friends, letting them know that I was moving to Okinawa and that I wanted a job. One of my husband's coworkers let him know about Okinawa Buku. So Okinawa Buku is kind of like a Craigslist, and I know that sounds super sketchy, but it was like a legitimate private school job that I got from there. So I went on Okinawa Buku not expecting much, and they had an opening for a music teacher. I thought that was so weird because a music teacher position is so specific. You wouldn't normally just find that. I contacted the person that was on the email, the recruiter, and I let him know that I was moving to Okinawa and what my background was. They agreed to accept my application, so I filled out the application. For the application, they needed so much information, so much more than a normal job in California for me. That was a little bit stressful. I did have to take a full day off to just do the application alone. After completing and sending the application, I didn't get a response for about 2 weeks. So I thought that maybe I wasn't going to get the job. The thing is, things are different overseas. And on the recruiter side, I guess things just take more time. And I thought that I didn't have a job, so I was applying to different positions. I found USA Jobs was very helpful, and there was another link. I'll make sure and write it here somewhere on the screen, but there was another link. I got several job interviews, but the one that I really wanted was at the private school. Finally, they contacted me and asked for a Skype interview. They set a time with me, and we agreed to meet then. They told me what time the interview was going to be in Japan time, and I thought for some reason it was in California time. When they called me on Skype, I was sweaty in moving clothes, moving things out of my house because I was getting ready to move to Okinawa. I also had some of my students in my house because they were visiting me and saying goodbye. That actually ended up playing to my advantage. So when I answered the Skype call, I did apologize for overlooking the time difference. They were very forgiving, and we started the interview. They asked just general questions. First, tell me about yourself, and then I had to tell them about positions that I had. And in talking to them, I let them know that I had some of my students visiting me, and I apologized for the noise. And so they asked me, can we ask your students a few questions? And I thought, okay. So I brought my students into the room, and they asked the students to tell them a little bit about me as a teacher and also what things they learned with me. So it was kind of like one of those mistakes that worked. It was really nice that they got to meet some of my students. The school also wanted me to send them a video of myself teaching, or myself teaching the classroom. Luckily, I had filmed that for myself just to reflect on it. And it was just a video of me teaching, so they couldn't see the students, which I think is better, right? But they got to see me teaching as well. After having the Skype interview, I moved to Okinawa, and then a few days later, they scheduled a mock lesson and a second interview. So at the mock lesson, they gave me a group of students that I would be teaching for 20 minutes, and they wanted me to teach using their content and also something that I wanted to teach on my own, like something that's my content. The scary part about teaching their content was that it was in Japanese. Even though it's music and I can play music, I couldn't read Japanese yet. So I was a little bit intimidated about having to do it. They also wanted me to play on the piano because in Japan, music teachers typically learn the piano for a few years and they have to pass piano exams, is what I've been told. So I didn't have a lot of piano background. My background is like saxophone and now ukulele. So it was intimidating, but it was nothing that was impossible. I know that I wasn't the most impressive piano player that they probably saw, but I think that my chemistry with the children was what won them over. So I was smiling, I was doing let's stand up, let's sit down, let's move around. I did several activities where I taught the kids how to read music and clap rhythms, and then they had to memorize it. So keeping the kids really active and engaged, I think, is what like set me apart from, or gave me the extra points that I needed to make up for my horrible piano playing skills. After the mock lesson and after the students left, they asked me to come into this panel interview room, and so it was just me and like 5 Japanese people, and they all had like these binders and they were taking notes. So that part was a little bit intimidating at first, but I mean, it's less intimidating than having 20 Japanese children that you hope will understand you, right? So at the interview, they gave me a little bit of feedback on the lesson. They said they enjoyed it. They said they thought the kids enjoyed it. After that, it kind of wasn't as much an interview and more of like, if I started working there, what would my future plans be? They wanted to hear about my vision for the school, my vision for the program, and they also wanted me to hear how important music was to them. They really wanted the students to be performing on instruments and to be really active in the community and sharing music with the community. That's something that I really enjoyed doing, so I think it was just a match for us. Leaving the interview, I felt very confident that I would get an offer. So coming in, I didn't feel confident because the Skype interview had not gone the way that I would have wanted it to go. I would have wanted to dress professionally, look professional, and show them some of my content, even though it was on Skype. But I think that the mock lesson really set me up for having a positive panel interview. After that, I had to give them a proof of my credential, my passport, the address where I lived. I had to get an official transcript. And for some reason, I feel I want to say a birth certificate, or maybe it was just a passport. It just felt like so many papers and so many documents, and I was moving. And you know, when you're moving, you don't know exactly where things are. So it was very overwhelming. So if you're planning on getting a job in Okinawa, there are a lot of Okinawa Facebook groups where there are people that share about jobs that are available. I'll try and link them below if I find all of these groups, but they'll post like, oh, job opening for this, job opening for that. If you're a military spouse, don't buy into what everybody says about how it's impossible to find a job. Of course, like, I came into my job about 2 weeks after moving to Okinawa, and the people that worked with me also said similar things like, oh, I started working here a month after we moved. So you'll find that the people who really want a job will do whatever it takes to find it. If you want any advice, or if you have any questions about finding a job in Okinawa, or if you want to know anything else, please leave it in the comments below. I also have my email in the description box, so if you don't want to leave it in the comments, just find my email and I'll get back to you. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Sayonara!